say she's frightening, just don't fail to listen to her, because this lady is just starting, and she is frightening. I mean, I watched her last night, and I see her growth exponentially, and it's just incredible. And you know what? When I studied in Paris with Nadia Boulanger, she said something I'll never forget. She said, Quincy, your music can never be more or less than you are as a human being. And Nikki is a great, great human being. That's all the other kids are in Global Humble. And I hope we get to see it real soon. Great kids, honey. They are the future.
You mentioned Nadia Boulanger. Can you talk a little bit about her role in your life? Nadia Boulanger, can you talk a little bit about the role she played in your life?
Yes, Nadia Boulanger was Romanian, Russian, and French. The most astounding woman I've ever met in my life. She was a mentor to Stravinsky, taught Aaron Copland, Philip Glass, Daniel Barenbaum, Brooklyn Bernstein. And I met Stravinsky there when I was working with her in the 50s. And what a lady. She was strong, really strong. She's the first woman to conduct the New York Philharmonic. And I used to I met Igor there. You know what it feels like to meet Igor Stravinsky? It's unbelievable. Old Davian, like, oh my gosh, you know. And it's just a trip I'm glad I took. And she said, I have to be careful with jazz musicians because you guys, you shack up with music first, and you record it and marry it later. Which is kind of true, really, because I was working in nightclubs, 5 clubs a night with Ray Charles. 13, 14 years old, and then I decided I wanted to go to France to join a record company with Eddie Barclay and study with Nadia Boulanger. And she took me to brass woodwind strings and percussion with symphony orchestra. And I wanted to learn how to write everything. And she said, God only gave me 12 notes. Until the kids was 13, I want you to know what everybody did with those 12 notes. You realize that? Brahms, Bach, Beethoven, Basie, Bird, Goldberg, everybody had the same 12 notes. It's astounding. And I don't get the chance to look back on this, but when I look back and I think about that, it's insane, really. You know? Just insane. But that's the way it is.
I don't think you and I can have a conversation without talking about jazz in some detail. I just want to go back to the days of 52nd Street in New York. And can you just talk a little bit about the importance of 52nd Street?
Well, I wasn't in diapers then, but I was 18 years old and the night happened when I first went to New York. And I think my first night in New York, I was just, in Seattle, you can't imagine those days. We didn't have television or anything. We had no way of connecting with our idols like Charlie Parker and learning all the new licks and Thelonious Monk and Disney and Miles and all those guys wrote. But we knew all of them. When they come to Seattle, we just like run crazy, just press you into the wall, you know. And when I went there the first time, I was in Boston. I was going to school, and I lived across the street from the Hi-Hat, which is a club, and I met Oscar Pettiford, and he wanted to hear some of my compositions and arrangements, and so I gave him a couple. He said, yeah, man, I want you to come to New York. And that's all I wanted to hear, because I could meet Charlie Parker, visiting all those guys, the Sonny's Dick. And so I went down to do 2 arrangements, $17. Who cared about money or fame? We didn't give a damn, you know. And so we recorded, and we went to the Imbers. Imbers was a place where our Taylor was playing. And after the show, Oscar got a little drunk. He was Indian, you know, and half Indian, half black. And I was sitting in the back seat with Oscar. All of a sudden, I hear the car start. And I look up front, Al Hitt was in this seat, and Art Tatum was starting the motor up. And they're both lying. Anyway, it was the most incredible time I ever had in my life. I went to the Blue Note one night. It was Diane Carroll's husband, Monty Kaye owned that. And I was watching Billy Taylor and Mingus, and behind me I heard a little guy say, and I got to know him at one point. This was my best friend, Miles Davis, you know. I heard him behind me, he said, yeah, I heard this little dude, man, trying to play like me, man. And I just done a record called Kingfish, and he used to not just alike, Noah Barkley liked him, but they were toughies. And he said, God, he said, mofo, you know. I heard him trying to play like me, which I was trying to play like him and Disney, you know, but mine was easy to play like the Disney ones. And it just one thing just led to another, and we just meet and grow, make mistakes and grow, and so I never looked back until I hit 80, you know, man, it's frightening what happened because you can't plan that kind of stuff in your life. We worked with Billie Holiday at 14, with Callaway at 15, Ray Charles and I came up together at 14 to 17, and then you worked from Louis Armstrong to Ella, Sarah, back to Sinatra, Tony Bennett, Paul Simon, Michael Jackson, everybody. We made, you know, rhythm, blues, everything. And so from the very beginning, we had to play everything. Sousa, Debussy, bar mitzvahs, schottisches, pop music. Pop music was different back then. To each his own, to each his own, to each his own. Anybody remember that?
When you were on the road with these older guys, when you were up with Lionel and what have you, were on the road with older guys. Tell me the story about the warfare tapes that you got from there. Well, about taking out your wardrobe.
That's a good one. Because, as I said about the 2 ears and 1 mouth, I knew how to use that then. I watched the dudes that have been out there 30 years, like William Mako, Bobby Plater, who's the Straw Boss musical director, was also for Basie too. He wrote Jersey Bounce. And I watched these guys, and it was amazing because everything they did, making $17 a night. You take us to Father Divine's, 15 cents for lunch, you know, Beale stew, you have to say peace when you walk in. And they put their pants and fold them and put them under the mattress. We couldn't afford cleaning. Wash and dry shirt in the bathroom, and there's your coat there too, and turn the steam on the steam mat, and steam your handkerchief and put it on the mirror. The next day you pull it off, it's just like it's been irons and stuff. It's unbelievable. Just everything they did, man, because we were 300 miles a night. At that time, Lionel Hampton was bigger than Louis Armstrong. Louis Armstrong used to open for us. And the basic and the ABC booking, Hampton's the biggest guy. And I know everybody feels like Bill Haley and Elvis Presley started rock and roll, but I'm telling you, in the 40s, Louis Jordan and Lionel Hampton did that, man.
Yeah.
And Tommy Dorsey wouldn't even play with him, you know.
Why did you stop playing the trumpet? Why did you stop playing the trumpet?
Because I stopped playing trumpet because I had to. I had 2 aneurysms, serious brain operations. They cut my head open twice with the weakness in the main artery to the brain. And that happened when I was 42 in 1975. And they put a metal clip, Milton Hyphens created. And if you go through metal detector, I can't go through customs or play a horn ever again. What are the alternatives? Stay vertical.
So in terms of the impact of blowing on the trumpet, is something that the impact of blowing on the trumpet.
Blow that metal thing away, how it doesn't work.
So after that,
Even this magnetic things like customs and MRIs too.
so in terms of the healing, the recovery process for you went off to Fiji, to one of the islands of Marlon Brando.
Yes, he did. He sent me to his home in Tetiaroa. And that was right after Color Purple, because Color Purple was the first film I produced, you know, and it was a lot of work, you know. I discovered also the power of being underestimated in our business. That's the most powerful position you can have.
What do you mean by that?
It gives you strength, because everybody in town was saying, what is this idiot Quincy Jones thinking about? He thinks he's going to get Steven Spielberg to direct his first movie. Steven was a $5.5 million director. E.T., Books and Cows, everything you can imagine, Jaws. And guess what? He did the movie for me for $84,000.